Hey, I'm Paul from VRP Rocks, and I'm delighted to be bringing you another My Five Favorite. Now, you know I love these My Five Favorites because we get to speak to the rock stars themselves and we get to hear about their favorite things. Now, we often have our own projections. We think about what our favorite records are, what our favorite songs are, our favorite bands are, but we don't often get to hear from the rock stars themselves. And I'm delighted to be joined by a wonderful guitarist with such a great history. And he's going to be revealing his five favorite albums. So, welcome to VRP Rocks, Bruce Kulick.
Hey, thanks a lot, Paul. It's
It's
always exciting. It's always very hard. I even had to look up my Wikipedia to make sure I knew, because I've done a lot of stuff and
yeah.
there was a bit of a struggle picking five. I mean, I could easily pick just five great ones of the Kiss years, but I'd rather, obviously, it should be for my whole career. And does it matter if it's chronological? We could do it that way.
We can do it any way you want, Bruce. You
Okay.
just you
Well,
just
let's go
pick it up.
chronological. I'm a kind of neat and tidy guy. It's easier that way. So, I recorded with my very like a band of friends in Queens back in 73 and 74. And we never had a name, but there were tapes, okay, that my dear friend Mike Katz and the drummer guy Bois, who passed away a few years back. But we wanted to be the next Cream or progressive Cream meets something progressive style. Mike was very, very talented with the songs. I was very challenged with the music. And then when years later, we revisited it and going like, what could we do with this? And somebody said, you got to put this out. This is too good. You know what I mean? And then I had a great engineer work on it. So we decided, well, we'll just call it KKB for Kulick Katz or Katz Kulick Boys, Bois. And I did reissue it one more time, only because we found another song or rather we did a new song, and that was called 1974, called Got to Get Back. That's streaming, and that's on also because I kind of can control it to put it up on all that. The physical product, we just put out like 1,000. They sold out very quickly. But KKB, so there I am as a 21-year-old, right? Doing this progressive music where we're not punching in. This is us live being captured with a few overdubs, okay? And it just sounds incredible. It was done on an 8-track. Obviously, the new song we added was still done kind of primitive because just sharing files. He'll send me the drums and the bass, and then I overdub some guitars. But I'm real proud of the guitar playing and the music, and it's very unusual because it is a little bit of everything. Mike sang terrifically. Doesn't sound like any other groups that I've been involved with. But my guitar playing, every riff I played, and I could see my brain going while I'm playing the riffs on my SG, which I still have. Okay. I did sell it to friends of mine, and it finally got back to me years later. This magical SG special from 1965. And I
Wow.
could hear the wah wah that I still have. You know what I mean? It's just what a remarkable timepiece for me. It's kind of like the way Kiss, the fans know all about Wicked Lester album or stuff like that. Although this is much more rock, I think people would. And my one co-write is very Hendrixy. There's like a little weird Hendrixy thing about it, but it's something like I said, all you got to do is put in Bruce Kulick KKB in any of the streaming things, or look online. Sometimes people are offering the CD. They're not cheap because they're out of print, but it's something I'm real proud of. So check that out. All right, now we'll go in order. So obviously, I love a Billy Squier record I did. I talked about that one a little bit early in a different interview with you, but we got to jump to Kiss, okay? Because I'm not on the Meatloaf record. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, that's
Uh,
true.
so certainly at the Asylum record, Show and Tell, since I have some of the product here, was monumental because now I'm one of the faces on the cover of a Kiss
Yes.
album. You know what I mean? Even though I look like a pop art ghost of sorts, but this is such an iconic cover. It really is interesting. And what a great record. I had 4 co-writes, my guitar playing, something to be proud of, although some of it's very hard that I can't really do now. Some of it was, we were combining tracks, I mean, oh, I switched to that one. I'm like, but I'd never be able to play that. We don't care. You know what I mean? Back then, everything had to be fast and furious. But some great songs like, Tears Are Falling, All Night, King of the Mountain, still very important to many, many Kiss fans. So, and the fact that it started my history is very, very special. One funny side note: Eric Carr was never happy that his face got, cut off a little bit. But the art director who's done interviews recently has mentioned that, yeah, originally it was, a very vertical thing, and then he realized much cooler just tilting it. And I guess I'm glad they tilted it that way so my chin could be shown. Okay.
Got to get the chin
As
in
much
there.
as poor Eric got cut out a little bit, but everybody knows his thunderous drums are all over that record. Okay. All right. Now, even though there's other Kiss albums, I'm gonna go to my next favorite, which is Revenge. Okay. Now, Revenge was a perfect record in many ways to me. Bob Ezrin, bringing him in the fold. I learned so much from him. The fact that, yes, we lost Eric Carr during this period, but he was able to be a part of the record with Car Jam 81.
Yeah.
But Unholy, we really set the tone for a powerful, powerful Kiss. The era with Eric Singer and myself could be, kind of memorialized forever with this terrific record. Okay. And of course, the European version, because you couldn't use the other S's with with those S's. Okay.
Yep.
For the German market. Okay. What a tough looking band, right? There you go. All right. So great record. Super proud of it. I learned so much from Ezrin too. And I loved my guitar playing. But honestly, a big part of it was also the fact that he wanted me to play from my balls. Okay. I didn't know what that meant exactly.
Yeah.
But I just kind of thought every note had to count. Let me bring out some pedals that could be more colorful for the lead guitar playing. So it's a great record. All right. So next one, I don't have it here.
Can I just stop you before you go any further there? Just mention Bob Ezrin there and him
Yes.
coaxing stuff out of you. I mean, how important in the studio when it comes to recording is the producer when it comes to stuff like that? Because some can be a bit wishy-washy, some can be overbearing. But in terms of getting the finished product and getting the album absolutely right, a quality producer, and as you mentioned there, Bob Ezrin, got something out of you that sometimes you don't think you can do yourself. So how important is it to have a proper good producer with you when you're doing things like that?
It's extremely valuable, and that's why I always rave about Bob. And as much as he's a mad professor, and at times he tortured me, he was incredibly creative with the contributions. Now, other records where it was more produced by Gene and Paul, at times Paul or Gene would contribute ideas about the solos. That everybody should have a voice in the studio. And the songwriter clearly should be very vocal if he can. But Nevison wasn't as picky about what to play. He knew when he had something, but Bob could create it with you. Okay, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So, and just remember, Bob Ezrin's the guy who came up with Everyone Loves Detroit Rock City. Ba da 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 da. I'm playing it like that because it's almost like a trumpet part. You know what I mean? So his talent was undeniable and so important, and it was something I've learned that I've been able to, a lot of the techniques and things that he taught me and worked with me, I've shared with other bands, okay, or other songwriters when I'm helping them arrange music. So those experiences in Kiss, much more valuable in ways to me than just the joy of performing on stage. Of course, that's a thrill of a lifetime and connecting with your crowd. But when you're learning, I remember Billy Squier had a little book, he'd make notes,
Oh, really?
And that became like, whoa. Well, Billy's records were nothing to slouch at either, right? Great sounding albums. And I learned from everybody. I learned from Nevison as well. You always should watch and learn when you're in that situation, when you're around these people with a proven track record. They didn't just, some people are famous for something that's silly that you don't need to learn from. Maybe the guys from Jackass or something, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to learn how to jump into a pool, with, from the top of your building. But certainly these people are super talented, and you want to study them and then go on from that. So it is great to have a talented producer. Absolutely. All right, so I'll move on. And here's an album that we did have a producer that was very, very helpful too. And his name was Bob Marlette. He worked with quite a few metal bands, but he did the second Union album called The Blue Room. Okay. And I didn't love a lot of his, he had a great relationship with John. I didn't really get to know him as a person, but he was very talented though. And he knew how to help us arrange the material. And I did love the sound of that record. He was very quick at it. He knew how to add some strings, and we didn't have to hire a quartet. You know, he had great samples. And he did a terrific job on the Blue Room. And I thought that record, by then, we were still struggling. Union was the band that hoped to make it big and didn't. But the Blue Room's a great record that I would hope everyone could check out. And that is out there on streaming. Getting copies, or actually, that CD is available from my website because I always had extra copies. Even though we were with these independent labels,
Yeah.
most of the time they went out of business. You know what I mean? So it'd be like, oh, well, since you can't pay me for the songwriting, can I have some copies? Please. All right. All right. So then the last one, where is it? Come here. Okay. I'm just showing you one of the deluxe vinyl versions. Is my solo record BK3. Okay. This was like this super deluxe version that we offered. There's so many great performers on this record with me, and I really it still stands up. Gene co-wrote and sang a song. His son Nick co-wrote and sang a song. Karabi's on there. Okay, I have Steve Lukather from Toto, tremendous guitar player. We do an instrumental on that. Then the last known recording with Doug Feiger from the Knack. Okay, he sang a song called "Dirty Girl," and the Europeans all know Tobias Sammet, from Avantasia. What a tremendous, singer and co-writer, and Eric Singer. Okay, playing drums on that song. So I sang a few of the tunes, but it's just a record that I think is beautifully packaged. I had the guy who still does all the Kiss deluxe ones do the artwork with me. This guy Tom German and Neil Zozow did the photo shoot. So very proud of this record, and it's still out there. But this one you can listen to. Though I did want to make a footnote: if you're in Europe, because I licensed it outside of North America to a label, they don't seem to care about streaming, so they don't put it up. So people will write me from Norway or something. Why isn't BK3 on? And I'm like, yeah, well, you're asking the wrong person. I don't control it, sadly. Okay. So, but the record's there. I offered on my meeting, you can find CDs, and I offer that on my website. The albums go for a lot of money. They were always sold out quickly when I did special runs of that. And the other two solo records I did, which we didn't get a chance to talk about before, Audio Dog and Transformer. Audio Dog came out on vinyl, sold out immediately, and I hope to get Transformer out as well. So this is why I need to do another solo record, because this one came out, believe it or not, in 2010, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
So to think that it's taken me all that time, maybe the 15 years will be the charm, and I can come out with something in 2025. Because as much as I could do another band album, I'd rather do my own. It would be just make it more flexible for me to bring in whoever I need. Though I know a lot of my go-to people would be the people like I performed with on the Kiss cruises, who are still dear friends of mine. But I'm sure I'd love Eric to play on something, and other people that I'm, good friends with. So there's many more I love, but if I had to pick five, there's my five.
Fascinating five as well, and some interesting music for people to look into as well. Like you said,
Yes.
the KKB thing, that's something that's kind of gone underground, and people can definitely check that out. And obviously the third record, if someone can get hold of a copy of that, because especially over here in Europe, it'd be interesting to get a copy of that. Thank you so much for those choices, and it's nice to see such a nice variation and some of the stories behind it as well, Bruce. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks again, Paul. Okay. All right. You be well.